and be people in Canada. We hope we are having have a meaningful time and a wonderful conference at the Huế University. Ladies and gentlemen, during last year, we are facing a lot of change in the whole economy and also in the domestic country. In the whole economy, you can see a lot of conflict happen. From the conflict between the Russia and Ukraine, the conflict between the Israel and Iran, it made the world general. It brings some opportunity, but it brings a lot of the challenge for the economic development. In the context of the country, we are facing issues around the government for land, common, district, province, and the central, 2, 3 government level, common, province, and only central government. Besides that, we also facing the change in emerging a lot of common together. We merging a lot of the province together. So we from 63 province, but now we certainly have 34 province. It brings some opportunities, but in the long term, it brings a lot of opportunity for the economic development. But in the short term, it may create vulnerable, rich, and unpredictable environment of economic development. In the context of science and technology, you can see the AI and innovation, a lot of this change in the technology. It made the people have more opportunities to can use modern facility and equipment for their life. But it also made the life change so far. Sometimes you can cannot better. Yeah, is the reason why this conference holding in order to make opportunity for us, the guide, in order to share, to learn, the guide, and also especially bring together to bring opportunity to build the network cooperation in order to have us to contribute for the development of enterprise and to look to and then it contribute for the economic development of the country. Finally, contribute for the improvement the welfare of the income of the people. That is the main outcome. So in order to have the workshop, we have our hand on the special guy, Professor Doctor Nguyễn Theo, and all of the research delegated to come here for, especially we received more than 300 papers from all of the researchers, lecturers, questions, contribute on the workshop. It is a wonderful result to bring us together. Finally, we hope we have a successful conference and you have a very beautiful time, wonderful time at the Huế City. Explore the Huế University, explore also here. Thank you very much and hope to see you in the next time.
Thank you so much, Association for Professor Children. Ladies and gentlemen, to thank for the valuable collaboration between the University of Columbus with the partner and to thank for the keynote speaker. Our university has some beautiful flowers and so many for the partner and the keynote speaker. And now we kindly invite to the stage Professor Tom Smith from the Macquarie University, Australia. Associate Professor Nguyễn Khai, Rector of Hải Phòng University. Dr. Nguyễn Thế Hùng, Vice President of Academic Policy and Development Vietnam. And Dr. Phan Thị Hồng Đức, Founder and President of Nordic Bridge and Research Institute Vietnam. And please welcome to the stage for the flower and and we would like to invite Dr. Phan Hoa Kuan, Chairman of the University Council, and Association Professor Trương Thị Quân, Rector of University of Economics, to the stage to give flower and souvenir for the partner and the keynote speaker. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, and now we move to the plenary session. We are honored to invite Associate Professor Bùi Đức Tín, Director of University of Economics, Chairman of the plenary session, to give a brief introduction to our keynote speaker and for the conference today. First, Professor Tom Smith from the Macquarie University of Australia. The second, Associate Professor Bùi Xuân Hải, Rector of Hải Phòng University. Please welcome Associate Professor.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Good morning. Dear Professor, distinguished guests, lecturer, expert, policymaker, and colleagues. This is really my honor and pleasure to be here to chair the keynote speaker. And this is on behalf of the organizing committee. I will just have a short introduction about two very special keynote speakers. First of all, Professor Tom Smith. Tom Smith is from the Macquarie University of Australia. And Professor Tom Smith is widely recognized as one of Australia's leading finance academics. He earned his PhD from Stanford University, and he been consistently ranked as the #1 financial scholar in both Australia and New Zealand by the Journal of Financial Literature and Pacific Basic Financial Journal. He foremost first in the environment finance, assess pricing theory and empirical tech, market design, and both structure and delivery. Professor Smith's research has been published in many high-ranking journals in finance economics, including Journal of Finance, Review of Financial Study, Journal of Finance Economics, Journal of Accounting Research, Journal of Business, Journal of Law and Economics, Journal of Finance and Quantitative Analysis. His scholarly contribution about which 500 citations in his career of today. In 2022, Professor Smith were elected as Fellow of the Academy of Social Science in Australia. Professor Smith is honored reserved as the nation's most distinguished researcher and professor across social science. Earlier the same year, 2022, Professor Tom Smith was also the named fellow and line member of Accounting and Financial Association of Australia and New Zealand, and received outstanding contribution to the education of these two countries. Through his careers, Professor Smith has certainly supervised for about 50 PhD students, and also collectively he is research in about 50 publications with the first high-ranking journals. Now let's turn our attention to professional keynote presentation with the title Economic and Utility Development in New Era. It perfectly aligned with our topic today conference. And this presentation, Professor Smith will explore the key driver of future economic growth and wealth creation. He will take us through the historical impact, technology, practical, and aligned clean energy transition in the line of ahead. The more far-reaching breakout today, remarkable to hit global influences across industries really relevant. Please join with us and give one welcome a big hand to our very distinguished Professor Smith, and now step with your welcome.
Thank you very much for that great introduction. I'm very impressed by the performance. Very, very good. Thank you to the universities that are sponsoring the conference for inviting me along. And I know how much work the team to organize the sponsor picture. Thank you to Duke. Then from Knowledge Group, bringing me over today. It's always a great pleasure. She is founder and president of Knowledge Group, and because we really respect what she's doing by creating a bridge for knowledge, everyone does work with her on a pro bono basis. Okay, so let's start. So, political economists say that what has driven growth in wealth for the last 150 years has been a series of 8 technological breakthroughs. So we're going to take this through those briefly, but then mainly about the net technological breakthrough, right? The 9 technological breakthrough. And that's going to be enabled by the AI and fintech. So the very first technological breakthrough was the steam engine, and that's what drove the industrial revolution. So people were worried with the steam engine that it would automate spinning and weaving, and the people making clothes would lose their jobs, right? And each of these technological breakthroughs, people have been worried about losing their jobs. But as we see, everyone's still working and working hard at that. Electricity was a huge technological breakthrough. You can work through the night, the 24-hour shift. The automobile, the people running stagecoaches, ponies, thought that that was the end of the world, but in fact it wasn't. Radio was a big deal. People thought that would stop people going to shows. They still go to shows. Microelectronics is technological breakthrough, as well as personal computers. I think some of us have lived through that, but we saw the beginning of the personal computer revolution. Biotechnology, we're still seeing the fruits of the discovery of DNA by Crick and Watson. And with the gene editing and everything, we'll see more of that to come in the next few decades. And then finally, the internet, right? And that has evolved not like we thought. In 1999, it evolved differently. So the paper that this is based on, Journal of Financial Economics, by Harrison, Jackman, and Tom. So they argue that these are the 8 technological breakthroughs that have driven wealth and growth. So the 9th and next technological breakthrough is the clean energy transition. Yeah, and while each of the previous technological breakthroughs affected either one industry or one country, what we're going to see is that this technological breakthrough is going to affect every industry in every country, making it the biggest by far. So we estimate in the hundreds of trillions of dollars, right, of wealth creation. So let me explain. So first of all, some science, planetary background, planetary boundary. So we'll talk about that. Right? So this is the science framework for what conditions we need to sustain human life on the planet. Starting at 2 o'clock, we've got biosphere integrity. Yeah, and that's to do with the insects and the animals, birds. We've reached that. The safe area is the green side, so we've reached that boundary. Land system change, that's doing land clearing, reached that boundary. Fresh water is very important for human life. We just reached that boundary. Down the bottom, 6 o'clock, that's the overuse of fertilizer, phosphorus and nitrogen. Ocean acidification, I'll talk more about that yet, later. That's, you're going to see that's about aerosol loading is okay for now. Ozone is okay. Novel entities, things like plastic, radioactive waste, that's pretty good. And finally, is the climate change, right? So that's just one of 9 planetary boundaries. And the reason that we are focused on this is because there's actually, I thought there was actually something we could do. So count out the number of conditions necessary to sustain human life on the planet. 6 out of 9 have been reached. So that's 66.66%, nearly 70% of the conditions necessary to sustain human life. People talk about saving the planet. We don't have to worry about saving the planet. The planet will be just fine without us. So there's more. The ocean acidification one is about to be reached. So that will mean 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries will be reached. So 77.77 or 80% of the conditions necessary to sustain human life on the planet. So the scientists think we're crazy that we're not reacting to it. You're not for the life. What are you doing sitting out the front shooting? What are you doing? So to put in perspective, the Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. For most of that 4.5 billion years, yeah, except for the last 2 seconds, the conditions have been unlivable for human beings. Human beings could not survive on the planet Earth for most of the 4.5 billion years, only in the last 200,000 years. And that corresponds to the last 2 seconds on this 12-hour graph, right? And we only started leaving an archaeological record at, minus 10,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago, depending on who you count. So that's the last 1/10%. So the conditions necessary for us to flourish have only been in the last 1/10. So they're very unique and I guess perishable. So if you look at that, that's science framework for the conditions necessary to sustain your life, but to have a fair life or an equitable life. The United Nations Sustainability Goals say that you should have, food, shelter, education, health, these things. So those will take up some resources. So they combine both the science perspective, which is the outside of this donut, and the inside is the minimum resources to have an equitable world. So you need to have a safe world, and you need to have an equitable world, and you've got to operate within that donut, sometimes called donut economics. And the scientists have come up with their own framework. They have safe and just corridor, and what they talk about in terms of just is between generations, between countries, and between species. Right, that's the way they define it. So the Paris Accord what we really think, right, it was a diplomatic master stroke, right, 195 countries agreeing on something. How does that happen? I think would be remote. So the idea was to limit the change in temperature to 2 degrees. Each country put an action plan, and there was financial, technology, and capacity building support on the development to the development. So then, in addition, most of the world's countries have pledged to net zero by 2050. That's every country. So the cost of doing that, people focus on the cost. But what they don't understand is the tremendous opportunity, an amazing amount of wealth. So looking at that list of technological breakthroughs, I think we can add the clean energy transition. And it will be the biggest by far, right? Each of those other one industry or one country. But net zero by 2050 means that every industry in every country. You know, and the people, we sort of money we know, the people leading the charge won't be people that believe in global environmental change. They'll just be people seeking profit, because that's where the profit. So AI, now we all become aware of AI in November 2022, but that's the date that everyone become aware of AI, started using ChatGPT was released. But here's 1770, mechanical turk, yeah, long before the chess, the world chess master Kasparov, the mechanical turk was going around the world playing his in chess and mechanically thinking, but everyone suspected there was a person hidden there, but no one could figure it out how. Right, so they thought that this was an AI. Wait a minute. Here's the history. We've only got half an hour, so I won't go through it. But these 6 people, the famous mathematician, Pascal, then you've got Charles Babbage, the analytical engine, so the beginning of computers, and Ada Lovelace. He was the very first computer programmer. So when I was a boy and learning about this, all I talked about was the man. But now, that finally women are starting to be recognized for their. So going through each of these, the next big one. Next big one is the November 2022 release of ChatGPT, where we all become experts on it in AI. So, what is AI going to be? Well, one thing that I believe is already showing that is bringing disparate fields together. For example, the space. So the archaeologists have determined the behavior is like 4,500 years old, 2,500 BC. But geologists who have studied this point to, there's horizontal erosion, and of course that could come from sand, sand floor, but there's deeper erosion and it's vertical. A lot of vertical erosion, and that's far deeper. So what the geologists say is that from rainfall, heavy rainfall. Well, I don't know whether you've been used to it, but it's a desert. They haven't seen rain in 12,000 years. Right? And so that dates the Giza, that's the Sphinx, to 10,000 BC. After AI, it goes and puts these disparate fields together, and it says the age of the Sphinx is 12,000 years old. That's an effect. The archaeologists are tied to their position. They've had that position for 200 years, not a change. But AI goes and looks at those literatures and says, it's 12,000 years old, which is amazing. So you can imagine how they can bring disparate fields together to make new discoveries. They're already finding that in medicine. So, do you have to worry about losing your job? Well, I have to tell you that each of the other 8 technological breakthroughs, people were worried about losing their jobs, right? But we all seen it again. So these guys are called Luddites. Yeah, and they're people that are opposed to new technologies or new way of thinking. These are the original Luddites. And what are they doing? They're trying to destroy the steam engine. But the steam engine didn't take away their jobs, did it? Got far more jobs, far more, growth as well, so far more jobs. So these are the technological revolutions that have driven growth, growth, driven jobs. So everyone thought they lose the job, but they did not. Oh, and here is Dr. Luke Tan, and from Knowledge Bridge, and you see that she's holding a journal called Knowledge Bridge Journal. Here, mock-up of the journal. Hasn't been established yet. It's the dream, right? So knowledge knows no boundaries. Knowledge Bridge tries to bring that knowledge to the people and elevate the research capabilities. So we're looking for support from a number of universities here in Vietnam to establish this. The goal would be to really have a place for academics to get their first qualification. So the first 2 years, first issue would be research methodologies by experts, and then full paper from the academics in Vietnam. So the first 2 years would be devoted to that. And the next 2 years will be experts who will talk about their favorite research area, and they call for papers for people who write in that area. So we'll pitch this to the major publishing houses, and it takes a couple of years to get it in practice, so we need support for So fintech is also an important the big thing about fintech is the blockchain, right? Not the cryptocurrency part of it, but how fintech can help to unlock the resources of the country. The stock exchanges are already using blockchain to keep the share. Firms are using blockchain for their accounts receivable, accounts payable. That's freeing up a lot of expenses. Now, you notice that banks have taken the lead in blockchain technology. That's because if they didn't take the lead, then the fintech companies would have come in and disintermediated. So, example, fintech, if the bank is 92% on deposits, charging 6% for a loan, it's getting a healthy margin. A fintech company come in and pay 3.9 on deposits, charge 4.1, get all of this together. And so that's why banks have seized the opportunity to lead the way in fintech. If they didn't, they would have lost their business. So when we do empirical studies, we see the bank performance suffers, both in terms of profitability and also in terms of share price, once they've introduced fintech. But I say to people, well, that's not the comparison. Don't compare it to what their profits were last year or their share price last year. Think about what it would have been, zero, if the fintech firms had this. So, yeah, when they're encouraged, when AI and fintech are encouraged, sustainability flourishes also. They're based on a number of national experiments in China. So they will enable the clean energy transition. So we've looked at what drives growth of wealth, what has driven since 1870 to now, and we now sure, I'm 100% sure the next big technological breakthrough is going to be technology. Every industry, every country, we're going to see hundreds of trillions of dollars of wealth creation. And I think we've got some final questions.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dorothy, for very interesting presentation, especially we know we have ASIC technology breakthrough already, and now we come to with the Number 9, technology breakthrough with green technology, green energy or AI or fintech. That will be make a lot of change and also will be the big driver for our growth in the future. So now is open for floor for questions, please. Yeah, Yevin, please. Mine, please.
Yeah, Professor Thompson. I'm from the University of Economics, the university, and it is my great pleasure to attend your presentation today. And thanks for sharing a very interesting and very insightful presentation. Yeah. To set us, I think this topic, this presentation is very timely overview of how economics and business development, EV enrichment by data, clean technology, fintechs, and ecological constraint. And I think this is particularly relevant in the context of Vietnam, where the balance between urbanization and, let's say, sustainability is really fragile. And that's as I do enjoy your presentation a lot. And I have questions here. So my first question could be, according to you, should Vietnam redefine its economic success beyond traditional GDP to include measure, for instance, let's say green GDP or other similar environmental measures?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any different in green GDP or GDP, but because the next technological breakthrough is home technology, all of the GDP and wealth creation will come from that transition.
Yeah.
There will be no thing, everything will be green.
Yeah. And do you think that's like by adopting that kind of green GDPs that will like for more accurate and sustainability?
Well, yeah, no, I don't believe the market got to get its first profit, right? By businesses, they got to necessarily lead in global environmental change. They'll be the ones at the forefront because there's so many trillions of dollars to be made. So the market system will get us there.
Yeah.
Now, the market system doesn't care whether it's 2 degrees above existing levels, 3, 4, or 6, but it will get us there. The land wherever it goes. Market takes its own time. They have to do R&D, they have to get approval for the commercialization. That can take 5 to 20 years.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks a lot for sharing. And I have another question. So my other questions would be, how can Vietnam, like, let's say, obtain or improve its economic competitiveness in the global market, given that it has to adhere to the sustainability standard and also reduce its carbon footprint.
Yeah.
So I think this is also would like to both sections. And thanks.
Thank you. So Vietnam is tremendous as well compared to the other countries of the world. Vietnam has a growth of 6% for the last few years. China is not doing that, Europe is not doing that, USA. So in lots of respects, Vietnam is the envy of most other countries. The one thing it has had is the flow of funds from the big fund managers, BlackRock and others. That's because at the moment, Vietnam is classified by the MSCI as a frontier economy, and the prudent investor rule, which the big fund managers have to abide by, says they can only invest in developed and emerging economies. But Vietnam is on the cusp of going from frontier to emerging, and the moment that happens, your stock market will rally. It's much like in the S&P index, when a firm is added, the firm's share price goes up dramatically. So when Vietnam is added to the emerging MSCI index, the share market in Vietnam will go up as all of the fund managers around the world reallocate their funds to include Vietnam. So Vietnam is a very, very well placed to soar ahead. You should be buying shares in the market index. But I think next year, this is the end of this year or next year, you will go from the frontier index to the emerging index. just based on your fantastic intro.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing and interesting discussion.
Okay, Michael, please. Yeah, Dr. B.
Might be like the next speaker.
We have 2 or 3 questions more, and then we come to later industry.
So good morning, everyone, and good morning, sir, Professor Tom Smith, and thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting topic, actually. And then America's I saw that travel, the history of the Earth. That's great. To be honest, the kind of new thing I have found in your presentation, actually, I saw them separately, but now you put them together. It's great. It's a little bit curious, just like, when you talk about the age of the spirit, and then you say like, archaeologists gonna say that for how, yeah, 1,000 years, and then according to AI, it's gonna tell you that 12,000. So just a little bit curious, like,
Yes.
if you can give me an answer, which one you gonna go?
So it's very tied to their view that it's 4,500 years. They've been saying that for 200 years, right? But when the geologists come and see the vertical erosion, that can't happen from the sand. The sand doesn't go up and come down. It can only have happened from rainfall. And we can date when the last rainfall was there in the Giza Plateau, right? And that was 12,000, 14,000 years ago. So that was sort of a fringe theory from the geologists, right? But everyone stuck to what the archaeologists was actually there. But when AI looks at it doesn't take any account of the 200-year belief that it was 4,500 years. It just looks at the science, and says, well, of course, that's water erosion. And of course, the water erosion could only have occurred when the last time there was a tropical area was 12 to 14,000 years ago. So AI is able to look dispassionately without any established worldview at the different disparate areas of science and put them together and come up with conclusions.
Yeah, thank you very much. To answer that question, actually, like, I mean, like, how we believe in AI, the level of confidence that we get.
I know most suggest that, right? Because we have beliefs and we've had them for a long while, and we like our beliefs. And someone sort of comes up with something that's threatening, we sort of discount it. But AI will come look at what we're saying and what they're saying and reach an independent conclusion.
And then the other one is like, well, first, I just want to clarify first, like, in this presentation, when you say the clean technology, does it mean like clean energy?
Yeah, a whole lot of things around clean innovation. So we don't really know exactly what will be, but it'll be, batteries.
So in some way, it's going to be renewable energy. That's what I mean.
That's for renewable energy. Ready a business case for that. Whenever anyone's building a new power station, they're doing a renewable. And no one will ever build coal-fired. Yeah, so it doesn't make business sense.
But like, my curious little bit, at the moment, probably more part of the world, I mean, like, probably, I
This is
think,
the last of me.
a lot of, every part of the world, we are still using fossil energy. And then, like, one of prediction, say, like, how long it's going to take us
So,
to that one?
like any new power station, energy station that was built has been clean technology. There's no business case for a coal or a fossil fuel. It's just too expensive. So any new power plant is clean technology, has been for a while. So there's no business case for a coal-fired energy plant.
Thank you very much. Again.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. The last question. Okay, yeah, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Kim, and for a very interesting and insightful presentation, which you framed the 150 years of development into 8 breakthrough technology, and you noticed the clean energy transition is the 9th, which is very insightful in my opinion. So, yeah, I just would like to have one question for like the low income countries. They often cope with with the taxis and limited project operational skills and they are economic and political reforms. So my question is, what practical readiness benchmark for example, physical, institutional, or data governance that you consider minimum threshold for these companies to safely leverage the AI fintech into a large-scale clean energy transition without amplifying that distress or like problems with the governments.
Yeah, I don't believe there'll be much public finance, right? Because the government sort of, whether all around the world, sort of strapped already, right? Their investment, health, and defense, education, and social security. There's not a lot of money left to get. Where I think the money will come from is the corporations, yeah, because they'll see a great opportunity to make profit. But the government has already given the stage by agreeing to net zero by 2050. The governments have given the framework in which the corporations know that they can invest in this area. They won't be restrained by the government. The government has said that's the policy set. Want to have net zero by 2050. Now the gains from this, I'm sure, are going to be unequal. You know, some countries might miss out because the major corporations might not be operating in the country, but the gains are going to be enormous. I truly think hundreds of trillions of dollars, and I've done that based on looking at the clean energy making and doing a very cautious, real.
Thank you very much, Professor. Okay, thank you for very interesting excellent presentation and discussion. Okay, now. Thank you.
If you're ready.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And let's, on behalf of organizing committee, I would like to make a very short introduction invitation to our Associate Professor, Dr. Mr. Hai, Director of Hong Kong University. Associate Professor Mr. Hai is a legal scholar with expertise in corporate and commercial law. He earned his PhD in commercial law from University of Australia. And he now author and co-author for the more than 10 textbook and academic monograph. And also he leads and participated in numerous national and military level scientific research projects. His research focused mainly on corporate law and governance, investment and commercial law, competition law, and commercial dispute resolution. And notable project under his leadership is scientific argument for amending and supplementing the education law that was approved by national level in 2021. And he had a lot of contributions to the improvement of Vietnam legal framework in education. Dr. Hai has published about 40 peer-reviewed papers in very high-ranking journals across like in Japan, UK, Australia, and leading Vietnamese law journal, covering the key topics, corporate law, governance, business, and competition. And they recognized for his expertise and leadership, Dr. Hai held several key academic leadership roles with about 11 years as the director of Ho Chi Minh University of Law. In August 2023, Dr. Hai was appointed to be director of Hai Phong University in parallel with his academic careers. He is also served as senior legal advisor for the major enterprises in Vietnam and also respected administrator in the Vietnam International Arbitration Center. And today, participation in our international conference, Associate Professor Bùi Xuân Hải will deliver a keynote paper with the title Legal Framework for Digital Economic Transformation in Vietnam, Current Situation and Improvement Orientation. He will go through with Vietnam fast growing in digital economy and why strong legal foundation is crucial and what needs to change and support for smarter and more competitive growth. He talk will spotlight both current challenges and clear recommendations for our legal in the near future. Please give the big hand to Associate Professor Bùi Xuân Hải. And now we will try to invite him to participate. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of Hai Phong University, I would like to thank the organizing committee, especially thanks to Professor Trương Tân Quân, Director Huế University of Economics, and thanks to other partners. This is very wonderful national conference. The second thing, thank you so much for beautiful introduction about the Professor Ting. And today, he puts me as a keynote speaker. But at the university, I am so busy. But he puts me the keynote speaker, I had to prepare and speak today. My topic focus on legal issue about legal framework for digital economic development. And first, I focus on the current situation in Vietnam, and then I will focus and give some recommendation for reforming our legal system on digital economic development. And my presentation consider five introduction, and the second, I want to give some basic information about digital economic development in Vietnam. And the third, I will discuss about the evidence role of Vietnamese Communist Party and the Vietnamese government. And the last, the main part of existing regulation on digital economics development in Vietnam is the last one about nation. First of all, digital economy, there are so many definitions about this term. And in any way, any definition, they always focus on digital technology. That is very important. According to the resolution number 57, also this is the decision 4115 Prime Minister. Vietnam is the define digital economy that rely on digital technology and particularly internet-based technology like cloud computing, big data, mobile technology. And OECD has another definition. Anyway, also focus on digital technology and focus on internet connectivity. Here you can see the relationship between many factors about digital economy. Here you can see key enabler. You can see the first one, digital safety and regulation. About today for digital economic development. We can see in the resolution number 57 as a decision for 111. But about the regulation, it needs to be done. So many things. And other in particular, you can see digital infrastructure. It needs to invest so much money on that. And data transformation now we are doing also for that purpose. And digital skill, we need to train and to educate so many people, many workers familiar with digital economy in the new area. And here you can see the emerging technologies that are many 5G, cloud, IoT, AI, big data, analytics, and robotics, something like that. And on the left hand, you can see so many initiatives in total now. If that digital government, some market, plantation, something like that. So many things. So my presentation goes on focus on here about the regulation has been legal framework and platform for the development of digital economy. The role of digital economy, there are so many things. And of course, everyone understands digital economy, progressive already economic development. And the thing about impact, capability, and increase labor productivity, and of course, so many things. It can improve about public governance. The government not only by the government, but also by the enterprises and individuals. And of course, at the last here, the digital economy have to influence the life of people. People can more income and the living conditions but better. The next one about and digital economy. Of course, I can say that the legal system of the law plays a fundamental role for the digital economic development. This is very important because in society, the law, regulation by the government and platform, and very important to regulate and to control the activity of the people, of the companies and institutions. Here, explain in short about what is legal framework. Legal framework we can understand as the system of regulation, the system of provision by the government, and this includes the law enacted by the National Assembly, that's being the Parliament, and if we decide that there are some other legal documents such as decree or resolution by the government or the decision by the Prime Minister, by the Minister, mainly branches of the government. The legal framework for this digital economy in Vietnam now, we can say that it's a very important role. Anyway, at this time, the legal framework for digital economy in Vietnam, there are some indications, some shortcomings, and we think that need to be improved. Here, I would like to give some basic picture, some landscape about digital economy in Vietnam. We are proud that in Vietnam, the digital economy has been growing rapidly in comparison to other Asian countries. So now we can be considered as the fastest country in developing economy. So you can see in 2022 and 2023, the increase about 28% in the 2022 and 2023. We can think that it's a very country in the Asia. In 2023, digital economy contribute around 16.5% GDP of the country. And in terms of the commerce market, the e-commerce market increased about 25% compared to 2022, and it increased to around more than 20 billion last year, the number in the 2023. And the number of the people, the proportion of the population in mobile payment belong to group highest group in the world. According to some sources here, around 33.2% in Vietnam, and the highest group in the world compared to Korea. 7%, UK nearly 27%, more than 36%, but Vietnam is 33.2%. So now I think in many cities in Vietnam, the people they get for payment and purchasing something, but they often just through the bank account. Vietnam now it has some hundred million bank account in banks. That is the example about that. Here we can see about e-commerce in Vietnam, and the market size for 2018 to 2024 is lower rapidly. In 2018, so only around 3 million US dollars, but in 2034, it went to really 5 billion US dollars after the 20 years. So we have been growing so far. And here about the contribution of digital economy in the CDP of Vietnam. Also for 16.5% in 2023, and now account for around 20%. And according to our policy, the resolution 57 up to 2% in 2030. Here some direction and some information about digital economy sphere, and also the number, the very billion US dollar here, and also about the percent of the GDP of the country. I would like to discuss ethical goals for digital economic development in Vietnam. I thought we are here, all the Vietnamese people. We know about the solution number 57 by the Communist Party of Vietnam, and I thought Professor Quân was the also we are in some direction committee, and in my university and my city, every week and every month we have to report about what we have done. We have annual result about implementation of the resolution number 57. This is a revolution. We can say that, but it is very hard to work for. This is the resolution number 57. And the last one, we know about the decision number 411 by Prime Minister in 2022, and the solution number 51 by the government to implement the solution number 57 by the Communist Party. Here we can see so many digital. The Communist Party of Vietnam and government set a very ambitious goal for our country, our people, and institution as well as company. Here, by 2030, digital government, digital economy, digital society, digital citizen digital control industry at the high level in the world. Very, very effortless growth. And I think that just only 5 years in front, how we can reach to high this growth in the world about digital economy and in many areas. Just only 5 years. Yes. And here are some ambitious goals of Vietnam set by the Communist Party and the Vietnamese government by 2030. Must account for 30% GDP at that time. And e-commerce account for 20% retail market and 100% of companies and enterprises using e-contract platform. And 70% small and medium enterprises using digital platform. And about labor force, only 3% of labor force is the area of digital economy. Just only 5 years, but it's very, very high and very, very difficult goal. And after by 2045, the digital economy beginning here, the Communist Party set out must account for only 50% of GDP. And Vietnam to be one of the digital technology industry center in the world. After 20 years, how we can. And after 20 years, Vietnam put on the top 30 countries leading to innovation, digital transformation, and the rate of digital technology and to develop the country. That means after 20 years, how Vietnam can meet and can see and get at the same level with the developed country, such as US, Japan, Singapore, and then the European country. And can people enterprise after 20 years. Here, we want to divide at least 5 big world enterprises into digital economy, digital technology, invest in Vietnam. Must open the factory, open the headquarters in Vietnam. That's very difficult for us, I think. Very difficult for us to get. But now I move on to the existing legal framework for digital economic development in Vietnam. The role of the law in digital economy. The first thing, the law has to secure, to protect the interest and the right of many subjects, such as the investor, enterprises, and company. And also, the law has to protect consumer, protect institution, investor, and inventor, and of course, the law must protect the public interest. That means the policy or something the Communist Party and the government think that public interest. The policy landscape here, I repeat again, we see very important document for the Communist Party of Vietnam and the government. The first thing is resolution 57. That is the most important document. Set out many goals and many policy direction to bring digital economy at the high level after 20. And the second thing, the National Digital Transformation Program by the decision number 749, Prime Minister, and the decision by 42, especially the decision 411 by Prime Minister in 2022. Set so many things, many goals and directions to do. And the duties to build up the digital economy and the society in Vietnam. That is four main, for most important documents by the Communist Party of Vietnam and the government. And the legal framework for digital economic development, so many legal documents. The first one, the law made by the Parliament. The second thing is about resolution passed by the government, and the last degree also by the government, particular by the minister and the decision by the prime minister. Here, I need three very important documents. That is decision number 411 by prime minister in 2022, and the resolution number 17 and 71 government. Here, I need some law made by the Parliament for legal framework for digital economy. First here, this law amended in 2023 and the cyber security law in 2018 and other law. But if you can say, there are so many laws, but still lack some very important law for digital economic development in Vietnam. The legal foundation is very important.
About 5 minutes.
About electronic transaction, cyber security, the still legal foundation set out many regulations on e-transaction or digital signature, electronic transaction, something like that. And also some entities for companies that were in the legal game now, we have no law on AI, okay, and some regulation is over regulation on this on free. It's different for example, here some people say no people law in overlapping regulation area. Here some international experience, some there's some legal document to get out of that. Here's some example of legal gap about the anti regulation about some area. From the media, sometimes we heard about information about some people they lose money. They were cheated by someone. And according to some information, the people said the government has information that about in the year 2024, more than 10 illegal trades related to personal information disclosed. For example, the information about our bank account, our mobile phone number, something like that. Some people they steal that or they get that information and they get cheaper to get around. The last one, recommendation for reform. The law, as I said, plays very important role in the information security, the data sovereignty, and national security as well in terms of control property. And in the future, if we want to build up a digital economy, we need a smart legal system. So how we can understand what is smart legal system, how we can understand how is smart legal framework for digital economy is very important. And the law must be at the digital infrastructure to help to build up the regulation and the rules for the development of digital economy. And the balance state control and innovation, if we focus on state control. So in that situation, investor or investor back and state. We think that the Vietnamese government think about to introduction or to build up some new law by the parliament, such as the digital economic law or personal data law. And I hope that in this year the Vietnamese parliament passed personal data law. And also e-commerce law very need to be passed by the government. And another thing is share the enforcement of law, and we should focus on forecast instead of recap. To have the investor and the company, they can more chance, more time, and they can save the money, save the time to invest in this area. Here is some other thing we get the Vietnamese parliament or Vietnamese parliament. They do to build up the law feature. And simplification, the licensing and digital service is also important because people think so much about the dossier or licensing is very complicated in Vietnam. And in conclusion, the legal reform for the digital economic development in Vietnam. And now the legal framework for digital economy in Vietnam has some limitation and some shortcomings need to be improved. And in implementation, I give some recommendation for the Vietnam Vietnamese government and parliament in the future. We hope to have a very good in the legal framework for the development of digital economy in Vietnam. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for very interesting presentation. This is the topic regarding digital economies, the lack of institutional framework. So we need to improve the legal framework for our digital economies. That's really big challenge for Vietnam in the next decade. So now the question and answer, we have time for about 2 or 3 questions. Yeah, please, Michael, please.
Thank you so much for your to my teaching field in e-commerce. My name is Anne and I am teaching e-commerce at university. So this is my question. Recently, I met also of the legal framework. It has more specifically addressed the management of international products on sold border e-commerce platforms in Vietnam. So do you think that it is a gap in our legal system? Because in our products which are sold in Vietnam have to conform with many laws in our Vietnamese government. But in contrast, for the international cross-border like that, so there are not. So what regulation Vietnam has to control the quality, access, and legal responsibility of international goods on e-commerce platforms? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. It's very interesting question. But you know, e-commerce between the companies from other countries belong to international law, not only domestic law. So here, I will discuss about legal framework of Vietnam, that's in domestic law. If a Vietnamese company has a contract with a foreign company, so it will obey not only Vietnamese law, but the law of other countries, of the buyer, of the seller, and also some international convention, such as international law about the purchasing goods. It's 1980, and also it was by some we get custom, e-commerce custom. And Mr. Nhật Anh said quite right that in Vietnam now we have so many regulations, so many laws, but we have so many gaps. So many gaps. This is a new area. That is the new area. So that's the reason why we haven't got a complete or a perfect legal system, a legal or regulation or e-commerce. Thank you for the question.
Is this clear? Yeah, next question. Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation. I am very interested in your presentation and two questions for you. Okay, so the first one is in your presentation, you have showed us about the growth of digital economy and e-commerce economy. Right. So can you clarify two concepts for us here? Because I think there's some difference. Okay, that's the first question. So, and the second one is about, I think that in there's a point that there is some difficulties or for you for small or maybe even micro small enterprise or maybe business even or business families, feminist business and others in the process of transforming into the digital economy. So, how do you think about that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. About the first question, of course, between the digital economy and e-commerce is quite different, of course. E-commerce is only a factor of the digital economy. Digital economy refers to many things based on the digital technology. But in the field of commerce or trading, when we use digital technology, that means e-commerce. So that means e-commerce only a part of digital economy. And the second question is very important and very hard question. We understand that in Vietnam, around 99% enterprises, they are small and medium. They are so small. We have about 1 billion small companies now. But how they can transform to meet the requirement of digital economy? Very hard question. Because so many things, for example, they haven't got enough money, how they can invest on technology, infrastructure. And the second thing, we must change to understand, to build the new knowledge about AI, about digital technology, something like that. And in Vietnam, many small businesses, they have no understanding about that. That's one. So I think about the question, the Communist Party and the government, they have to do so many things on policy, especially invest too much money on training, on helping them, so they can meet the requirement to support the digital economy in the future. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think, and I believe that we still have many questions from our KeyNote speaker. But if our colleagues, the lecturer here, still have questions, maybe we go to the break, tea break, and then we can have communication more. Okay, thank you very much. Before we leave for tea break, I just have some announcements like this. We have about 15, less than 15 minutes for tea break. And then at 10 o'clock, before 10, maybe 2-3 minutes before 10, you move to building C, we have 7 rooms for parallel section, and of course, your participation is very important. We will support your colleague, more confident to present something, question and answer, something like this. So encourage and inviting all participants here, please go to parallel section at 10 o'clock and building C, 2nd floor and 3rd floor. And 11:40, after parallel section completion, just please return to the hall here. We have closing ceremony. And now before leaving for tea, we would like to invite all participants just to the stage here for group photo. Thank you. Just a few minutes, please. Xin mời quý thầy cô, quý vị đại biểu, ta lên hội trường khán đài để sân khấu để chụp ảnh hội thảo. Xin mời quý thầy cô, quý vị đại biểu. Có thể công tác từ phía dưới ạ. Quý thầy cô từ dưới ạ.
Đi cho đẹp.
Xin mời quý thầy cô khẩn trương. Toàn bộ tài liệu của hội thảo có trong bản quyền Trung Quốc. Quý thầy cô có thể download để sử dụng. Xin mời quý thầy cô có ở dưới hội trường khẩn trương từ lên sân khấu để chụp ảnh. Xin mời quý thầy cô khẩn trương để cho việc đánh điểm. Vâng, cảm ơn quý thầy cô rất nhiều. Quý thầy cô tiếp đấy trước thì phía của chính của hội trường, ngay cửa chính hội trường phía sau lưng chúng ta ngồi bên này.
Chỉ có ở ngoài đại tập
Tiêu này. Vâng anh, đã tiếp đấy. Về chính thức. Về chính thức. Rồi. Về đây này. Đây. Cảm ơn chị hơn nữa này.
thầy tính có 30 phần. Để bắt con tặng sách thầy tính chụp một tấm ảnh kỷ niệm. Dạ. Dạ. Ok, mình chơi mình tính lên thử cái đồ tính. Em
Rồi, cũng hùng luôn.
dạ.
Rồi.
Để coi. Em có.
Cả cô có về cùng thôi.
Bây giờ không.
Dạ vâng. Như này cả cô là vẫn còn các cái session ở đây.
Rồi vậy chắc mang hoa của em về ha. Mang hoa nước về. Đưa chị khóa cho. Em
Anh cứ dư thôi.
dạ, em nè. Hả? Không, cái này bỏ lại. Đây nè, em mở phòng 322. Mở phòng 322 nhớ không? 322 bỏ
Ngoài có rồi. Đúng rồi, ngoài.
rồi, đây nè. Nha, rồi. Rồi xong rồi em quay lại đúng không? Em trả cô lại nha. Ok. Rồi. Bỏ một phần hoa của cô Đức. Yes. Hả?
Về à? Chạy thay về à? Con đi. Tâm tạm. Business cũng là cũng
Macquarie alumni. Macquarie alumni. Okay, look up.
Đúng không? Chữ ký của chị thì tôi viết đây. Rồi chắc em cái này ha. Em cái này tại vì mình đổi room phải không? Thôi kệ đi. Đó, vậy làm không phải là làm gì đó. Không phải là không kịp. Không phải làm gì luôn cả. Lên Zoom thì xin một số lên đó.
Ôi, có chào cô nhá, cô vào thì kêu cô vào luôn chưa?
Cái tour của hai nhà mình chụp cái nè chị
Sau đây là các phiên chuyên đề là chị có tham dự không?
Có.
Tôi không gọi
Nhưng mà
là
chắc là chị
chuẩn bị
làm
ba mọi người
chị tham gia mấy cái phiên online á. Tại vì có cái phiên online của mấy bạn kêu đi chị tham gia online thì ngồi đâu hay là cứ vô Zoom thôi.
Vô Zoom là được rồi thì em mời chị lên phòng họp thứ 3 đi.
Rồi ok, vậy là chị end cái này ha. Rồi. Mình end rồi mình đổi phòng nha mấy bạn ơi. Yeah.